To make blueberry wine, first thing you're going to want to do is take your blueberries and freeze them, and then thaw them out 24 hours later. This helps break down the cell walls, and then you're going to have to mash them up. So for a 23-liter batch, you're going to need about 10 to 15 liters of blueberries. More the better, more juicy blueberry flavor. I'm going to use a hand mixer to mash them up because I think that'll be quicker. Nice little puree going on there with the hand mixer. It worked very well. Now we add 10 liters of water. So I've added the 10 liters of water, and as you can see, there's quite a few unripe berries floating. That's because this is my refuse berries from my blowing and floating sorting method for wild blueberries. It won't matter though, because we'll be straining these out at a later step. But for this step for now, we just add a packet of potassium metabisulfate and a pectic enzyme to help break down the blueberries and sanitize them and keep bacteria and stuff from growing on them. You have to wait 3 days before doing your next step after adding the potassium metabisulfate, because it needs to break down to different products, or it would just kill off your yeast. You'll want to stir this twice a day to make sure that the stuff on top is getting sanitized so it doesn't grow any mold, and you'll want to loosely cover the top just to try to keep any fruit flies and stuff out. On day 4, it's time to add bentonite. It's a type of clay that binds proteins in the wine and keeps your wine from being foggy. So we have 40 grams of bentonite that we're going to pour into boiling hot water. And I find this gets really clayey, so I've got some really hot water, and I'm just going to stir it as it's poured in, just keep it from clumping together. And then I'll let this mixture cool down before I add it to the wine, so I can start to cook the berries. Add 5.5 kgs of corn sugar. You can use regular table sugar, but the corn sugar dissolves a lot better. Stir it in. Now we're going to add 55 grams of tannin, acid, and nutrient blend. Stir that in, as well as 500 milliliters of red grape concentrate. Now add 35 grams of elderberries and 35 grams of oat powder. Stir that in. After adding all the sugar and other ingredients, we change the specific gravity, so a lot of the ripened berries floated to the top, which could interfere with our yeast production a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just sprinkle the yeast on top and not stir it in, just let it activate. But then once it's activated, I'm probably going to stir it around once a day. It's day 10, so it's time to separate the liquid from the fruit. So I'm going to scoop the majority of the berries from the top, and then I'm going to strain the rest of the liquid into a glass carboy, where I will then seal it until day 31. Because when we transferred wine, we ended up moving over a lot of sediment too. You're supposed to leave most of that behind. So instead of leaving this until day 31, in a day or so when the sediment has settled, we're going to transfer it to another carboy again. And also on this step, it says to top up to within 3 inches of the bung. But in regular wine kit directions, you would normally do this right before you do your finalization steps, and you would have the option of topping up with wine. You can't top up with wine at this stage because it could kill your fermentation of your yeast, because there's stabilizers and whatnot contained within your finished wine. So we're going to hold off on the top off because we'd like to top up with blueberry wine. It's day 31. So on this day we're going to add packet 3A, which is potassium metabisulfate. It's approximately 4 grams. Packet 2, potassium sorbate, which is approximately 4 grams. And we're going to just add it to the carboy. The directions actually say add it to a bucket, but we're going to leave it right in the carboy and stir it with the spoon upside down, so the spoon won't fit through the airlock. And we'll stir that in for 2 minutes, and then we're going to add the Kiasol, there's 15 grams of that, and the Chitosan, which is 46 grams. And we'll stir it up again. Once we've added all of the packages, we can just top off to the top of the carboy. The directions said to do this in one of the earlier steps, but by adding wine in the later step, we'll get a higher alcohol percentage. And we have blueberry wine here that we made last year, so that'll help maintain the blueberry flavor and not dilute it with other types of wine. So when you stir in each packet, it's vigorous stirring between each packet for 2 minutes, and this is to degas the wine. So with the spoon you can really just swirl it around, get it going really fast. One thing I forgot to mention is when you add the Kiasol, you need to wait 1 hour before adding the Chitosan. These packets are responsible for removing the proteins which can make your wine foggy, so they help make it nice and clear. So they're very important, and it's probably a good idea to follow the directions. So after 45 days, the sediment has settled to the bottom, and it's a nice dark looking blueberry wine. Sediment doesn't matter that much though, because we are going to filter it into a clean bucket, where we are going to then siphon that into our wine bottles. This is what the clarity and color of the blueberry wine turned out to be like. It's a little harsh right now, but it hasn't aged, so once it's aged for 3 to 6 months, it's going to be a lot better. But so far the flavor's good, it's just got a harsh taste with it, but that goes away. Another step I should include is that once you have all your blueberry wine siphoned into your bucket, you can flavor it to taste using wine conditioner. We have some leftover stuff from the kit, but not very much. So ours won't be that sweet, but if you really like a sweet wine, you'd definitely want one of these.